you ever feel dirty? Do you do stuff you shouldn't? Just little naughty things that you know are against the rules, but that feel so good. Last Saturday, my girlfriend and I had this bacon, beef, and sausage pizza. Oh, it was so greasy and so delicious. The next day, I tried to eat just a lettuce and broccoli salad as penance. But then suddenly it's 2 a.m. and I'm like hunched over in my kitchen trying to invent new ways to like swallow peanut butter faster. Anyway, the point is that cycle is basically the reason that Syria has become the deepest, darkest pit of hellfire and misery on the planet. Let me explain. Hafez al-Assad started living near the end of 1930 up in the mountains off Syria's coast. His family was Alawite, which comes from Alawi, or follower of Ali, who was the guy Shia said should have succeeded Muhammad as caliph because they were related, instead of Abu Bakr, who did just because he won an election. Alawites also worship their heroes like gods, which Sunnis see as sacrilege because there is no god but God. So the Alawites retreated up into the mountains and wrote long, preachy Facebook posts about how, there were gods but God. Back then, France owned Syria, from when they grabbed it in the bargain bin after World War I. And they played with it for a few minutes, but then they just got terribly bored. So they put about 3,000 families, that's 2% of Syrians, in charge. And they gave them half of the land. Actually, by modern standards, that's wonderfully fair and equal, but the Syrians hated it. The Alawites got their own state, but Sunnis got its only port. And that left the Alawites holes in their shoes poor. It gave most women no choice but to work for rich Sunnis so rapey that 25% of Alawite children Hafez's age had Sunni fathers. But Hafez's father was this big beast of a man people called al-Assad, or Tiger. And he liked that so much, he made it his new family name. Hafez al-Assad kicked ass at school, even though all the Sunni kids picked on him and called him rat face al-Snot. And when he was 10, the Nazis occupied France and the Syrians could finally steal independence from the distracted Vichy government. But one revolution wasn't enough, and Syria just kept having coup after coup after coup. Syria is on the way to everywhere. So all through history, empires have passed them around like the housekeeper at a Saudi prince's birthday party. And now here they are, curled up and crying in the shower, trying to figure out what is wrong with them that they get treated this way. And they came up with a story pretty close to Marxism, except it had proletariat Arabs struggling against a European overclass. And they wanted to purify the Middle East, purging the Europeans clogging it up. And they called this Baathism, which means Renaissance. Because they had every Arab's best interests at heart, they decided elections were silly. Their plan was to form a vanguard party of young people uncorrupted by the old ways, who get everyone as woke as they were until their collective wokeness was strong enough to seize power. And they welcomed Hafez into their pan-Arab movement, and he was ecstatic to finally be loved and accepted. So he joined the Air Force, then helped form the Baathist military committee. And when they finally got their turn to coup in '63, he actually attacked the only base that even resisted, but he shut that right down. As a reward, his new job was drilling Baathism into all the soldiers' heads, which is basically saying, hey guy who's still pissed about being bullied as a child and whose name literally means I'm a beast, would you mind being the spiritual leader of our army and never using that for personal gain? Okay, thanks! And the next year, Sunnis protested in Hama, and the Baath party fractured, debating their response. The politicians said, we're a party of all Arabs. We should let these guys into the party. But Hafez in the military said, we are the vanguard, and we know what's right for Syria. There is no dissent. We will kill them. And the military won. And that's when they realized you don't need good talker people to rule when you have all the guns. So Hafez slowly grabs up power until, allegedly, the party leader tried to have him killed, at which point Hafez arrests him and all his supporters and takes over as president. And the Baathist government was designed to let a pure, noble vanguard rule, even without popular support. So Hafez just drove Syria down that beautiful black paved road straight to hell. So he made officials call him the sanctified one, and said he was beyond the comprehension of the average citizen. But what he did was simple. He aligned Syria with the Soviet Union, and he allowed a little more private property. Then he filled the government with his Alawite friends, who could now get as rich as they wanted from all that foreign investment, just as long as they stayed loyal to him. And like that, the poor, oppressed mountain people took over as Syria's kleptocratic oligarchy with complete, unquestionable control. And that was too much pure Arab power. So the Sunni majority, the radical intellectuals, and the strict Islamists all allied together to take down Assad. And they bombed cities, terrorizing Alawite officials, soldiers, and civilians. They killed 300 people in Aleppo alone and left nearly every city in Syria paralyzed by strikes, protests, and fear. And it built and built and built until February 1982, when Assad besieged the rebel stronghold in Hama all month before finally moving in and killing over 10,000 people. The idea had been that if Syrians could just be noble and pure enough, that they'd find peace and prosperity at the end of the rainbow. Instead, they got the world's biggest bubbling cauldron of bulldog diarrhea. It's this weird paradox of humanity. The harder you try to exert control, the crazier the chaos you end up with. Assad put down the rebellion and became the undisputed heavyweight champion of Syria, but all the anger and the hatred he'd pinned down just simmered for 30 years until his second son couldn't keep the lid on anymore, and it exploded into the terrible mess we're all too familiar with. And that, I think, is why you should never, under any circumstances, try to eat just a salad. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked it, go like The Globalist on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube. There will be more videos like this, and you will like them also, and everything will be good, and life will be wonderful, and we'll fly to the moon! Alright, see you later.